Welcome to the Church at 434 DNA. This is that behind the scenes look at why we do what we do, how we do it, what makes us tick. Probably a little emotional like I am today because this is the last episode of this limited edition series where we've actually taken things that we actually publish as part of our DNA and let people know what to expect. And what we've done in this series is we've had an opportunity to kind of expand and have me to wax eloquently and way too long about each one to kind of explain to you what it is, the mindset behind it, so you will understand it. For those of you that care about leadership and care about the way that we do things and why we structure ourselves the way we do, you found it to be very interesting and you let us know that, and we appreciate that. But today is the conclusion of this series, and it means that we have one more thing that we want to share. And so let me review the other ones real quick for you, just by way of one-liners. We said that if you're going to be understanding our DNA, you have to learn that we expect the unexpected. I shared with you that irrelevance is irreverence. We have to love people when they least expect it and least deserve it. Playing it safe is playing it risky. Everyone is invaluable and irreplaceable. We need to pray like it depends on God and work like it depends on us. Maturity does not equal conformity. It's never too late to be who you might have been. You need to do it right and do it well. And everything is an experiment. And the last piece of the DNA that I want to give you is probably one that we could have put much earlier in the list if we were going to prioritize, but we didn't prioritize. I mean, this is just a list, but it's simply this. You can't outgive God. You can't outgive God. I think there are people, places, other churches, where even though they would never say that they believe that they've done enough, they act like they have. But one of the things that I've become convinced at in my journey of faith is that I can't do enough for God. I can't outgive God. I can never give God back more than He's given me. I can never extend more effort toward God than God has given to me. In other words, I can't outgive God. And that means that because of that, I'm called to be generous with my time, my resources, my energy, my thought processes, all that I am. It's all on loan from God. He's given it to me to use, and He's given me the opportunity to use it to bless others. That's my job. And any time that you start to get tired, that thought begins to cross your brain and you say, I've done enough. I've given enough. Well, in those moments, you're right on the edge of a cliff, and at that moment, you have to make a decision. And this is an honest decision that you have to make. Being tired doesn't mean you're done. And you're not done until God says you're done. And so anytime you get in that moment where you think, I need to quit, you've got to ask yourself, is it okay with God? Is it time to stop doing this? Knowing full well that if you stop doing this, there's something else He has for you to do, guaranteed. Because you can't outgive God. And so when we think we're being generous, chances are we could probably be a little bit more generous if we really got down to it. When we think we're sacrificing, I like to think sometimes I sacrifice, but you know what? That well can go even deeper. Why is that? Because God gives us the capacity, and the more that we get to know Him, the deeper we get in our walk, He gives us the capacity to draw from a well that never runs dry. Sometimes people don't understand that because they're not close enough to God and they've never allowed themselves to have that benefit of knowing the fullness of God in their life. But once you do, once you tap into that, you begin to recognize that you can't outgive God. And so as a ministry, we've always taken that approach as we've tried to do things and we've tried to reach for the stars and chase dreams and do Horizon Ministries and try to impact the world. God's called us, as we've already talked about in our DNA here, to give our best, to do our best, to be everything that we needed to be. And at the end of the day, we know that we can't outgive Him. And so whatever we do is good. And there's always more. And so we're always looking for the next thing. And the great news for you, if you're connected to Church at 434, and the great news for me is that with that philosophy, we're never done. We're never done. There's always something else to do. And all of those things combined wrap up to make what is our DNA, that double helix model of what it looks like if you were to try to peel back and understand who the church at 434 is. Those things are all helpful in understanding it. Are there more? Of course there are more. Are there other things that we think of? Sure. A lot of other dynamics? No doubt about it. But for this limited series, those items help give you some things to hang on to, some ladder rungs, if you will, that help you understand the way that we try to do and strive to do ministry. So thanks for joining me for this series. Hope you enjoyed it. If not, well, don't tell me about it. That's not a good Ask Jeff question. That's another show. Or go back and listen to some of the other episodes and see if you can tie and weave them all together. Thanks for joining me.